Hello and welcome back to another Football Commentaries live stream. The new EFL season is well underway, and this Monday night at Kenilworth Road we have a meet-up between Luton and Burnley. Both of these clubs were relegated last season from the Premier League, but are looking to bounce straight back up at the first time of asking. For the home side, Luton Town, they remain under the management of Rob Edwards and have in fact given him a new deal in the summer that runs through till 2028. But he could not stop them from being relegated for the first time since 2009 when they dropped out of the Football League. Pre-season for the Hatters has seen 2 wins from 6, and the final game was played here at Kenilworth Road against Spanish side Celta Vigo, which ended in a 3-1 defeat. There has been forced change at Burnley after Vincent Kompany's departure to Bayern Munich, so two-time promotion winner from this division, Scott Parker, has come in, and his last job was a 12-game stint in Belgium with Club Bruges, but hopefully this time he can get a third promotion from this division with a third different side. Pre-season for Burnley has been rather secretive, but has included 2 games against Spanish sides Leganés and Cadiz, which both ended in draws, and towards the start of pre-season they had 2 75-minute games against Dundee with no results posted from that encounter. It was a Burnley win here last season with an 85th minute winner, and it was a 1-1 draw at Turf Moor in mid-January after a 92nd minute goal from Carlton Morris. So with both teams looking to be promoted again to the top flight, can either side take 3 points from their first game back in the Championship? That's the big question. It's a very difficult first game for Scott Parker at his new club Burnley. You know, even in the Premier League, despite relegation, it was a difficult place for teams to come to, Kenilworth Road. Many teams, if they won here, it was only by 1 goal. It was very close games, usually for Luton in the Premier League. They did win 4 of their home games last season in the top flight, beating Palace, Newcastle, Brighton and Bournemouth. So very respectable victories. And they drew 4 as well, all of them being 1-1. And their main biggest defeat at home last season was a 5-1 defeat to Brentford, but that was not a regular occurrence. As I mentioned, very close games usually at Luton Town's home ground. And for Burnley, wins were not easy to come by last season. They actually won more away than they did at home. They won 3 times away from home, including here at Kenilworth Road. They also beat Fulham and Sheffield United. So they in fact did get more success away from home than at home for Burnley, but all around it was a pretty disastrous season. They were 8 points off safety in the end, Burnley, and Luton were 6 points off safety in the end. Did give it a good go, both of these teams, both losing 24 games each in the league, but just did not have enough at all to survive in the end. I think it was Nottingham Forest who took that final safety spot in the Premier League. But expectations now change for both of these two sides. You know, they've gone from kind of expecting to lose the majority of games last season to now expecting to win the majority of games this season. Both of them will be favourites for promotion, if that's automatically through the playoffs or winning this title. I definitely think Burnley have got a very strong 11 on paper. Luton Town have been able to keep a lot of their high quality players, but I still think they need a few additions. They're still struggling with a lot of injuries at the back, and they've not really brought anyone in to cover that, to cover those defensive issues in terms of injuries. So Rob Edwards, the manager, did say before the game that they are looking to try and bring in a few more players, and they've got time to do that. Still a couple of weeks left of the transfer window, but you know, to keep the likes of their captain Carlton Morris up front alongside him, Elijah Adebayo as well, to keep him up front as well. He was actually linked with Fenerbahce to join Mourinho in Turkey in mid-June, but that interest faded away for Adebayo, and he is staying put. Adebayo scored 10 times last season in the Premier League, including a hat-trick in a home win against Brighton at the end of January. So, big plus that they've been able to keep him on board here, and they've not had to bring in any replacements. But in this fixture, head-to-head wise, it is Burnley who have usually come out on top. They are unbeaten in their last 8 against Luton. The last time Luton beat Burnley was a factor away from home, and it was 2-0 back in March 2000. So well over 24 years since Luton last tasted victory in this fixture. We haven't had a 0-0 since March 2007 as well, so let's hope that stays the same. We don't want any more 0-0s. Because in yesterday's commentary we were given a 4-0 game as Sheffield Wednesday absolutely destroyed Wayne Rooney's Plymouth. It was a difficult watch in terms of just seeing Plymouth not even get going at all in the game. It was straight from the off. They were completely overrun and just lacked any quality. And I think Plymouth will struggle big time in this league if they can't bring in any extra players, as both of these two teams now will be entering the pitch from the tunnel. Looks like Burnley are in their away kit, which is predominantly white with navy blue shorts, and Luton in their same home kit as last season. They are going for the same home kit 2 seasons in a row. Brentford also do that. They have the same home kit for 2 seasons and then change it, just so it is better for fans in terms of course, not having to, spend ridiculous amounts of money on a new shirt every season. So it's the same usual colours for Luton as they are being led out by the referee tonight, and that is Matthew Donoghue, who started refereeing at the age of 14, so plenty of experience. And the 2 assistant referees are Paul Hodkinson and Mark Dwyer as well. As of course, it's a very iconic ground, Kenilworth Road. Just over 12,000 had to go through a work programme just before the start of the Premier League season, as it had to meet some requirements for the top division. That ended up costing £10 million, but it still got the same authentic feeling in the ground. As we're going to go through both sets of starting 11s now, and we'll start with Luton, and it's Thomas Kaminski in goal, who actually won save of the season last campaign in the Premier League, a double save in late November against Crystal Palace. Through at the back of Ruel Walters, who they brought in on a free from Arsenal. This is his first ever experience of senior football. Alongside him is Ted Mengi and a academy graduate, and that is Joe Johnson, the 18-year-old, playing at left centre-back tonight. 4 in the midfield. At right wing-back will be Chidozie Ogbene. On the left-hand side will be Alfie Doughty, who picked up 8 assists last season in the Premier League. And 2 central midfielders of another person who's come through the academy, and that is Zach Nelson. And alongside him is a summer sign in their first of the season, and that is Shandon Baptiste from Brentford. And a front three, a very dangerous front three of Taif Chong, just in behind the 2 strikers of captain Carlton Morris, who scored 11 times last season in the Premier League, and Elijah Adebayo, who scored 10 himself. For Burnley, James Trafford in goal, despite a lot of interest for him from Premier League clubs. He has stayed put. He cost Burnley initial fee of £15 million last season. A back 4 of a returning Connor Roberts, who spent the second half of last season on loan at Leeds. Left back is a £2 million signing from Santos, and that is Lucas Pires. And 2 centre halves of Dara O'Shea and Maxime Esteve. 2 all the midfielders of captain Josh Brownhill and Josh Cullen, with 3 behind the striker. On the right will be Vitinho. On the left will be Luca Koleosho. In behind the striker will be Wilson Odebert. And through the middle, leading the line, will be Lyle Foster, who scored 5 Premier League goals last season. One of them came against Luton Town, and that was in the 2-1 win here away from home at the beginning of October. He scored in the 2nd minute of added on time in the first half, and Lyle Foster will be looking to get his season underway with a goal. He only scored once in the Championship when Burnley were promoted. He joined Burnley in the January of that season. He scored once for them in March against Wigan. He'll be looking to really up his numbers this season under the new manager of Scott Parker, who in his last and his only 2 seasons in this division, he's won promotion via the playoffs with Fulham in 2020 and then automatically with Bournemouth in 2022. So he's got the track record of clear reason why Burnley have brought him into the football club, despite his really poor run at Club Brugge last season, going to Belgium and just not quite having his time there materialise into anything positive. But there's another chance for him. He's already picked up 50 wins in the Championship, including those playoff games that he's had to deal with as a manager so far. As Burnley will be kicking us off, kicking right to left. It'll be Luton left to right in this first half at Kenilworth Road. Trafford, the goalkeeper, sends it long up towards the edge of the 18-yard box. Header won by Mengi for Luton. Flicked on by Chong. Picked up in the centre circle by Esteve for Burnley. His ball to the left is short. Can't quite find Brownhill. Cleared away for Luton Town. And it is a Burnley throw-in on this near side. Midway side, the Burnley half. So we are underway here in London, as it's Trafford, with the ball going across the box to the right-hand side here to Dara O'Shea, who has been of interest of Brentford in the Premier League. But no move has yet finalised for the Irish centre-back, who's got plenty of experience in the Championship. With West Brom, also playing for West Brom in the Premier League as well. Dara O'Shea. As Burnley trying to tack down the right-hand side here with Lyle Foster, just bullied off the ball there by Mengi. Goes to his goalkeeper Kaminsky, quickly shifts it to the right to Walters, the new signing from Arsenal. It's now the right wing-back of Ogbene in his defensive third. Goes to his left here to Baptiste, and now Walters back to the goalkeeper Kaminsky, but Burnley still press here from the front. Luton shift it to the left centre-half here with Joe Johnson, making his first ever league start for Luton. His only ever start for the club before this was in the League Cup last season to Exeter. He is very highly spoken of by Luton manager Rob Edwards. As it's Luton on the ball in their own half here. Some settled possession. Now Ruel Walters turning back to his own goal, just about keeping it away from Koleosho. It's on the edge of the area with Teden Mengi, Luton's number 15. Played 9 times under Wayne Rooney in a loan spell at Derby back in 2021, whilst he was at Manchester United. As there's a free kick there just before the centre circle for Luton. Baptiste brought down. So Luton, free kick. No chances yet in the opening 2 minutes of this game, as these two sides were separated by 2 points in the end last season, both finishing in the 20-point mark. Luton with 26, Burnley with 24. Just not a great season for either, but I think it was a really good experience for Luton, coming up against such big teams in English football. They were only in the National League, 11 seasons ago now. So the rise Luton have had is special, and even though it ended in relegation, it was quite the successful season in the end. Just getting a taste of the Premier League and, performing well. I mean, I know a lot of results didn't go their way, but I think people respected the way Luton went about their business, going with that back three, man marking, going man for man. And, they held themselves in the Premier League. They scored 52 goals. It's just they conceded 85, which is never going to keep you up in the Premier League. But they're back in the Championship. Luton finished third in the Championship last time out, having to get promoted through the playoffs, beating Coventry on penalties at Wembley. So we're back with the action here on the far side, midway side their own half. It's a Burnley free kick. I think just a slight aggressive shove there from Alfie Doughty. And it's a Burnley free kick, which will be taken by their number 1, James Trafford, who spent just the 8 years at Manchester City during his youth years and never made a first-team appearance. And this is his first ever taste of Championship football for James Trafford. Spent a couple of years on loan at Bolton in League One, and then straight up to the Premier League last season, where he didn't play any of the last 10 games in the league, this after conceding 62 goals in 28 games before that. As Doughty clears for Luton. On the halfway line, it goes out for a throw-in for Burnley. 4 minutes in, still no shots at goal yet for either of the two teams. As Burnley restart, throwing the ball back to their goalkeeper Trafford, who's well out of his 18-yard box, shifts it to the left of the French centre-half of Maxime Esteve, who goes long down the left-hand side into the final third. Audebert will give chase. He's battling with Walters, and it's Walters to come out with the ball, turning, trying to clear, but Audebert's not leaving him alone. He can clear it down the line, but it falls to a Burnley shirt of Josh Cullen, who slides in and kicks out to the right to Roberts, forward to Audebert, can't quite get away from Joe Johnson, and it's now the youngster Zach Nelson on the ball, trying to turn away from Brownhill, and he does just that, and he can shift it to his teenage partner of Joe Johnson's clearance down the left-hand side, deflects off the number 47 of Wilson Audebert, and it'll be a Luton throw-in with their number 38, Joe Johnson. Came on twice in the Premier League last season, away at Manchester City and at home to Fulham on the last day, but didn't start any games other than that League Cup game against Exeter. As Doughty, facing his own goal, goes inside to Baptiste. It's now back to Joe Johnson, and it's on the edge of the Luton 18-yard box with Teden Mengi. He's played once for the England under-21s back in March of this year against Luxembourg, as he sends a long ball out to the right-hand side, deep in the Burnley half, headed won by Pires, or as far as Morris, and Luton have got the possession in the Burnley half. Ogbene tripped, but play is allowed to continue as Nelson has it on the halfway line for Luton. It's now to the left to Johnson, lifting it forward towards Adebayo. He's battling with O'Shea, and O'Shea wins the header to the right-hand side here, to Vitinho, forward to Foster, touches it into Cullen, headed forward to the halfway line to Adebayo, who then moves it to the left here to Pires, into the space now. It's a great run by Brownhill, he's onside and in the box, left-footed through the legs of the goalkeeper, and Burnley have an early lead. The captain, Josh Brownhill, scores. Scott Parker absolutely delighted, it's a really well-worked goal. And with the first shot of the game, we have the first goal. Scored against Luton when these two teams were both in the Championship last time out in the 22-23 season. And he scored against them again. First time he scored against them at Kenilworth Road. Adebayo played it to the left back Pires. And on the halfway line, he just played a ball through a huge gap in the Luton defence. He looks onside to me. Just curled it in behind the back line. And Brownhill making that run from his midfield position forward to the striker position. Just really calmly took it in his stride, touched out with his left foot, and he shot with the left. Got it through the legs of Kaminski into that bottom right corner. It's a really well-worked goal. It's a brilliant assist for their new Brazilian left-back of Lucas Pires, who they brought in from Santos this summer for just £2 million. It's a dream start for Burnley and Scott Parker, and it's Luton 0, Burnley 1. Great goal. Really good goal. Again, defensively for Luton, the gaps were too big. And Josh Brownhill exploited that with his run, and they've won it back high, and Luton could again equalise. Adebayo with the shots. Doesn't catch it on the edge of the box, straight into the hands of James Trafford. Went straight down his throat. Comfortable save for the 21-year-old. It's quite an open start to this game. And Burnley have took advantage of that with their early goal with Josh Brownhill. Scored 7 goals last time they were in this division, Josh Brownhill, when they won the league. So he can score from that midfield. He likes to get forward. As it is a bit of battling in the midfield here is Baptiste. Can't quite work it to a Luton shirt. It's now with Josh Cullen. Goes forward to Brownhill in a central area. Goes out to the right now to Roberts. Forward to Vitinho. Usually right back, but can play on that right wing. He's been brought down by Doughty. And it's a set piece for Burnley, which I think they're going to set up here to try and launch this into the box. Like I say, Luton haven't won in this fixture for 24 years. 4 wins and 4 draws for Burnley in the last 8 against Luton. Just over 8 minutes in. And it's an early Burnley lead. And they could double their lead here if they get this right. The Luton defensive line is just a couple of yards outside the 18-yard box. It's going to be delivered into the box for the Clarets. Far post to Dar O'Shea, who heads it back across. Header away out of the area. Helped away by Nelson, but only as far as Brownhill. Burnley work it to this near side quickly to Dar O'Shea. He's going to cross it back into the box. It's a little bit overhit to that far post. No one's there to attack it or keep it in. And it's a Luton Town goal kick. 9 minutes in here at Kenilworth Road. It's Luton 0, Burnley 1. Just a really good goal. All around, Wilson Adebayo playing in that more central area. He was able to work the ball out to that left-hand side where Burnley got it forward to Brownhill in the end through Pires. But Luton can build out from the back with Ted and Mengi, the central centre-half in that back three. Now Johnson back into Mengi. Bit of time on the ball, goes into the midfield to Baptiste. Turns forward into the centre circle, looking out to the Luton left, bringing in Chong. Now to Doughty, who lets it run through his legs and gets around Vitinho. But the Brazilian recovers and pokes it away, throwing in the final third for Luton on their left-hand side. Not going to rush the taking of this throw-in. Alfie Doughty, as he throws it into the 18-yard box where Morris can't quite beat O'Shea to the ball. And the Irish centre-back has to head out of touch for a Luton Town corner kick. Just over 10 minutes in, still 1-0 to Burnley. And Luton have showed signs that they can pose a threat to this Burnley defence, which is a rather young defence in the centre of it. Dar O'Shea just 25 and Maxime Esteve at 22, who they brought in from Montpellier for €15 million. He was on loan at Burnley last season, the second half of the campaign, and they made that loan a permanent one. He's a left-footed centre-back as well, Maxime Esteve, which always helps having a right-footed centre-back and a left-footed centre-back, especially for build-up play. But it's a Luton Town corner kick on the far side. Doughty with an outswinger. It's a deeper one towards Morris, who heads it to that other far post where Trafford has to palm it away. And it'll be cleared in the end by the number 23 of Lucas Pires. And it's Ogbene on the ball for Luton on the halfway line. No one around him, so he's got plenty of time to look forward and try and start an attack from the back for Luton Town. It was a well-won header from the corner there by Carlton Morris, but no one was there to win the seconds for the Hatters. As on this near side, halfway line, it's Ogbene. Goes to Morris, back into Baptiste, off the ball. Ogbene was shoved to the ground by Brownhill, so free kick for Luton. As for Luton Town, they did lose their first 4 games of last season in the Premier League to Brighton, Chelsea, West Ham and Fulham. Their first Premier League win was actually in game week 7, away from home. They beat Everton 2-1. That was at the end of September, so it did take them a bit too long to get going in the Premier League for Luton, and they also ended pretty poorly as well. They only won 1 of their last 17 in the Premier League last season, Luton, and that was at home to Bournemouth. 1 win from 17 from the start of February to the end of the season, which was mid-May, obviously just isn't good enough and was never going to keep Luton in the Premier League. Doughty launches it into the box to the far post, and Morris is on his own. He can control it and he can pull it back and it deflects and it's cleared for Burnley. Poor from the away side that Morris was allowed to ghost into the box alone and get that ball under control. As at the moment it is Doughty who's just stayed on this Luton right hand side, and he goes into the central centre-back of Ted and Mengi. As Burnley just happy to sit back at the moment. As Luton are just trying to find their way through this Burnley defence. As Doughty, 1-2 with Walters. It's brilliant. He's got away from Pires in the box. Doughty going on to his right foot. He's brought down by Esteve. And that's never going to be given as a penalty. And it goes out for a goal kick. Good defending actually in the end by the young French centre-half of Esteve. Because Doughty had switched from the left-hand side to the right. Looked like he was going to cut in onto that left foot, but instead tried to go on the outside of Esteve, who just got his shoulder in the way, saw him out. Doughty frustrated. It's a goal kick for Burnley. It's been a very good start to this game, pretty even so far after the first 13 minutes. Luton responding well after going behind. Not really testing Trafford, but getting forward deep into the Burnley half as Trafford's ball goes over Koleosho. And that'll be a throw in midway side the Luton half for the Hatters. As there is Scott Parker. Before tonight, he's took charge of 95 championship games, winning 50 of them, just losing the 20. He's got a points per game record of 1.84 points per match, which is not too bad. As his team are attacking here. Out to the left wing to Koleosho. Can he keep it in on this near side? He can. Walters is trying to get close to him. He goes back to Pires, who back heels it into Koleosho. Onto his stronger right foot, playing it into the middle of the park here to Roberts, who goes back to O'Shea on halfway. It's now with Cullen. Back into the Burnley half of Esteve. Across to his centre-back partner of O'Shea, Dublin-born centre-half. Goes out to the right here to Vitinho. Running it Doughty. Going on the inside, then the outside. Taking a touch towards the byline and crossing into the gloves of Kaminski in the 6-yard box. Not a bad run that by Vitinho. Questioning the defensive qualities of Alfie Doughty. Getting around him and getting the cross in, but not finding Lyle Foster in the 18-yard box there for Burnley. As the goalkeeper Kaminski gets it on the floor and plays it out to the halfway line. Just to the right-hand side, chested down and passed to the right side by Morris to Ogbene. Good hold-up play by the Luton number 9. As they've gone to the opposite side now with Johnson lifting it towards Chong over his head and dealt with here by the number 2 of Dara O'Shea, who has Brentford very interested in him. Celtic are also interested in Burnley's number 2, but as I mentioned before, nothing materialising yet in terms of a move away for him. As Trafford, the goalkeeper, clears left-footed, headed back towards his own goal by Foster, controlled by Morris, brings Baptiste into play. Turning away there from Brownhill and going into the centre circle. Every outfield play in the Burnley half now His Chong's drifted out to the left-hand side. And playing it back here to Baptiste. It's now to his central midfield partner of Zach Nelson, the 19-year-old. To this near side to Walters, getting forward from right centre-back and playing it to the wing-back Ogbene, who will cross into the box for Adebayo. Header won by O'Shea, but also Chong, who tries to let fly in the box, blocked by Connor Roberts, and Burnley try and play out from the back here with their left-back Pires being closed down by Baptiste, but can work it into Brownhill. To Pires again, his ball inside just about works its way to Brownhill, despite coming off Nelson. It's now Pires, another 1-2 there with Cullen, sliding challenge from Nelson, and that'll be a throw-in for Burnley just inside the home team's half. Actually, Burnley only won twice at home all season in the Premier League, winning 5-0 against Sheffield United and then against 2-1 against Brentford in mid-March. Their worst run of the season for Burnley was 10 games without a win, and that was from Boxing Day through to mid-March. So, when they went through horrid spells, they were long, horrid spells for them. But despite the poor Premier League season, Vincent Kompany still landed a job at Bayern Munich. Still not sure how he's been able to blag that one, but he was in charge of 96 Burnley games, Vincent Kompany. And he was brought in to replace Sean Dyche, who just missed the 10-year mark as a Burnley manager. Sean Dyche took charge of 425 games, so it's usually a bit of continuity at Burnley. They're used to having just one man in charge for a long time, but obviously for Vincent Kompany, if Bayern Munich come calling, you're not exactly going to say no, especially after a relegation as well. As for both of these sides, they've got relatively difficult games in their second game of the season, as Ogbene is charging down the right-hand side into the final third. Can he outpace Esteve? No, he can't, and he can trip the centre-half. And that'll be a free kick for Burnley. It's a good start to the game for their number 5, Maxime Esteve. Brought in from Montpellier. Played 14 times for the French club before joining Burnley on a loan in January, where he played 16 Premier League games. Last season starting 15. But yeah, Luton have got to travel to newly promoted Portsmouth next week, and Burnley welcome Cardiff to Turf Moor. So, you know, there's no easy games in this division. Every team has their own strengths that can cause trouble for each opposition. But, you know, these two teams will be looking to try and be finishing in the higher positions in the table as Lucas Perez slices one back towards his own goal, where Adebayo wins the first header and he chases down his own header here and he gets the ball under control in the end and leaves it for Morris on the right wing. Tries to lift it into the box. He hesitates and eventually tries to take on Brownhill, where he's been tripped, and in the final third in a right wing position, it'll be a Luton Town free kick. Morris thought about playing the ball early in the box to Adebayo, but I don't think he was quite ready for the ball. So Morris kept it and a slight bit of contact. It's a soft free kick, but it's one that's been given by the referee, Matthew Donoghue. I think there'll be plenty of goals in this game. I don't think this one will be the only one, which has been scored by Josh Brownhill for Burnley. It scored very early on, scoring in the 6th minute of the game, with Burnley's first and only shot so far. So Luton Town have a chance to get this ball into the 18-yard box. It's Alfie Doughty who's going to swing it in with his left foot. Mentioned before, but 8 assists he got last season in the Premier League, a very healthy tally for the 24-year-old. 2 arms in the air for Doughty. Low ball and it's dealt with. Not very well, though, by Vitinho, who can control it out of play. And it's a corner for Luton. In the end, it was actually Lucas Pires there who didn't really clear it well and then couldn't get it under control. Maybe a bit of nerves from the young Brazilian left-back who signed on a 4-year deal. Born in Sao Paulo. Got the assist for that goal for Josh Brownhill. So he's showing his creative qualities, the full-back, but a little bit shaky there defensively. As it'll be Doughty again to deliver in. Left-footed in-swinger, deep one to the far post. It drops in the box and it's cleared for Burnley. Didn't quite for a Luton Town player as Ogbene keeps it on the far side, going into the centre circle to Chong. Into the space down the left-hand side. Can Baptiste get to it? No, he can't. Cleared in the air by Vitinho. Headed forward by Brownhill. Chong in the centre circle again to have it. Sends it to his goalkeeper, Kaminski. Being closed down here by Lyle Foster. Kaminski clears it. No-nonsense clearance. And it's controlled with the chest of O'Shea to Esteve. And it's the away side back on the ball with their goalkeeper, James Trafford, who was involved with England before the Euros, was part of the preliminary squad of Southgate as Burnley have worked it to the left-hand side here. Odobert bringing in Koleosho in the final third, running at Doughty, who's at right wing-back. Koleosho on the edge of the box on his right foot, playing it to Odobert, then to Cullen, back out to the left to Pires. Brownhill, Luton got plenty of bodies back as Burnley work it to the right side from Brownhill to Roberts. The furthest right is Vitinho, and he has it, playing it to Cullen on the edge of the box. Can't return it to Vitinho, tackled by Adebayo, who can't quite get around Vitinho, who crosses it into the box towards Lyle Foster. Headed won by Mengi on the penalty spot. Still needs to be cleared here for Luton Town. This is with Vitinho, the Brazilian winger. Playing it through for Odobert towards the corner flag. Going backwards to Roberts. He's been given time to cross this ball. Comes off the back of Ogbene, or the stomach, I think, of Ogbene. And it'll just be a throw-in for Burnley on the far side, right next to the corner flag. Yeah, seems to be seriously winded here. Luton's number 7 of Chidozie Ogbene, Irish international, born in Nigeria, of Lagos, but represents Ireland, scored 4 goals for them, 2 at home against Belgium and Latvia. Scored 4 times last season in the Premier League. Ogbene, 1 at home in that 4-0 win to Brighton in late January. As Rob Edwards has faced Burnley 4 times in his managerial career, just the 1 win, and that was a home win in August 2022 when he was at Watford, the very short time he spent there, just 11 games at Watford before he got the sack, and thankfully for Rob Edwards, he's took himself on to better things than Watford, and they've slightly gone down a little bit. So it looks like it's going to be a throw-in. It's going to be a long one. Launched in by Connor Roberts. It actually goes short to Odobert, who returns it to Roberts. Then to Odobert again on the angle in the final third. Goes across to O'Shea, 25 yards from goal. Back out to the right to Cullen. It's now to Esteve, midway inside the Luton half. Goes out to the left now to Lucas Pires. Poor touch, and it's won back by Doughty, who will bring the ball forward for Luton beyond the halfway line, surrounded by 3 Burnley shirts, and runs it out of play. He had to go left, Doughty, to keep it in, but there was 3 Burnley shirts there waiting for him to try and cut inside, so there was no way he was going to be able to, and ended up running it out of play in the end. So it's with James Trafford in the 18-yard box for Burnley. Long it goes beyond the halfway line. It's flicked on by Foster, controlled though in the end for Luton Town by Baptiste. It's now Carlton Morris. Touch is heavy as he tries to go forward. One back by Lucas Pires. Goes back to Brownhill, midway inside the Burnley half. It's now with the centre half row Shea. Going across to Esteve. It's now Pires, being closed down by Doughty. Goes inside to Cullen, around the corner to Brownhill. Helps on once more to Odobert, who beats 2 Luton players. And then tripped by Baptiste. And that'll be a free kick for Burnley, I believe. Koleosho was brought down there, but I think he received the ball from an offside position. Yeah, well seen by the referee, because Luton play very high. Literally, Luton Town were on the halfway line there, and he was offside, just slightly adventured into the Burnley half there, into the Luton half there. Koleosho. So Luton try and get it forward with Adebayo. Cut out, but they eventually work it to the striker through Doughty. It's now Chong, tripped by Cullen, and that'll be a free kick given by the referee. Cullen disagrees. It's been given by the referee. 25 minutes in here at Kenilworth Road. It's Luton 0, Burnley 1. Chong just shielding the ball well. And to be fair, it is a slight trip. Probably a rightly given free kick by the referee. It's Baptiste and Doughty over it. It probably will be Doughty to cross this ball into the box. It's about 35 yards out, so too far for a shot for Doughty. It's definitely a nice little angle to cross left-footed, and it goes deep to Morris. He's on his own and he gets there. I think the flag's gone up on him for offside, but still wasted. He got there and he just needed to delicately put it back across goal. He is offside, he's gone too early. But even so, that ball that he tried to put across just ballooned off his foot and well over the crossbar. So if he'd timed his run and got there, then it would have been a bit of a waste there by Carlton Morris, the 28-year-old striker. And for Carlton Morris, he'd never scored more. He'd never got into double figures in a league season. Carlton Morris, before joining Luton, scored 20 goals the last time they were in the Championship, and then got 11 last season. So it seems like the higher level he's played at, the better he's got for goals, which is always good to see a bit of a late bloomer with Carlton Morris, who links the play up here and brings in the right wing back of Ogbene, driving into the Burnley half, into the final third. Lack of options with him. He's surrounded by two Burnley shirts here. It's Walters who eventually brings some support, and he goes to his left to Baptiste. It's a bit of a risky pass, but it works its way to Johnson. Lays it off to Nelson, now in the centre circle with Mengi. To the near side to Walters, wanting to go forward, and he plays it forward. Morris now to Ogbene. It's well worked. The cross goes in, it deflects, and it's not quite been able to be kept in by James Trafford, so it will be a Luton Town corner on this near side. Almost kept in there by the number one, James Trafford, the under-21 Euros winner. Good decision as well by the assistant referee there. Just gone out of play. A nice turquoise blue goalkeeper strip, James Trafford. I quite like that shirt. Might have to have a look at that later on. Maybe just put it on the list of shirts to buy. As Luton have a chance from a set piece. They've got plenty of tall bodies in there, and they've got a great delivery of Doughty, who crosses it in. Again, an in-swinger. It's a punch away by Trafford in the 6-yard box. It's now to the edge of the area to Ogbene, who's going to be forced to go back. No, he turns well, turns forward, away from Koleosho, down the Luton left, playing it into Baptiste in the final third. He is right-footed, works onto his right foot and crosses in. It's a good header away by Esteve. All as far as Nelson, and Luton can carry on their attack. Having to go back, though, as Walters was being closed down there by Odeber, sorry. It's Luton who have to restart in their own half it, as Mengi tries to send it to the right hand side to Walters, but completely miscues it, and out for a Burnley thrown in the Luton half. Bit of a cheap one to give away there, Ted and Mengi, who spent 14 years of his youth career coming through at Manchester United, just making the two senior appearances for the Red Devils before moving to Luton last season for an undisclosed fee. Scored once in a 2-1 home win against Palace in the Premier League last season, the centre-half. Burnley have it up to Lyle Foster. Goes down too easy over the challenger Mengi, and it goes through for Walters at right centre-back for Luton. It's quite a young squad for Luton Town. You know, you've got their new signing, Ruel Walters, who's 19. This is his first ever senior game of football. Whilst he was at Arsenal, he got no minutes under Arteta. He never went out on a loan spell. So it's new grounds for him. Joe Johnson, the left centre-back's 18 years old. Zach Nelson in midfield's 19 years of age as well. With a lot of players also in their young to mid-20s. So it's not got loads of experience in that Luton team. As they've got it forward and out to the right-hand side here to Doughty. Drills it into Chong on the edge of the area, who's going to shoot left-footed. And does not get around the ball. Sends it flying towards the corner flag. That's how bad that shot was. I'm not quite sure if it's gone for a goal kick or a throw-in. I hope for his sake it's a goal kick. And I think it is a goal kick. Chong blasting it quite far wide in the end. Doesn't mind a goal or two. Taif Chong got 4 in the Premier League last season. Getting some decent opposition as well. Scored against Liverpool, Aston Villa, Bournemouth and Spurs as well. As the Portsmouth manager here, John Mousinho, is in the crowd as Portsmouth welcome Luton on Saturday for a lunchtime kick-off. As Trafford, goal kick goes long. Header won by Joe Johnson, controlled in the centre circle by Chong. Has to go back to Alfie Doughty. It's a launched ball forward. It's a high one. Adebayo will chase it. Touched away by O'Shea, but straight to Chong, who drives inside away from Roberts. Shoving the back by Vitinho. And a free kick's been given the other way. I think as Adebayo was challenging O'Shea for the ball, the referee's given a foul against him. just the fact it was about 5 seconds or so after O'Shea had kicked the ball away. I mean, to be fair, they were both grabbing each other's shirt. O'Shea pulled his shirt first, then Adebayo did it back, but I think the referee only saw Adebayo pull his shirt and he didn't see O'Shea pull his, so just unfortunate to be on the wrong side of that in the end. Elijah Adebayo, who was born in England and his nationality is English, but he does have an option to play for Nigeria, Elijah Adebayo, and he did say in March of this year that he'd love to play for Nigeria, so could be getting some international football soon. Luton's number 11 after performing well in the Premier League last season despite Luton's relegation. As there's a foul for Luton there. Lucas Pires, the left back for Burnley, just pulling down Ogbene. And we're just over half an hour in here at Kenilworth Road, still Luton 0, Burnley 1. Two teams separated by a Josh Brownhill goal in the 6th minute. Burnley's captain for tonight after the departure of Jack Cork. As they go along up towards Adebayo, header won there by O'Shea. Straight to Walters on halfway for Luton, who just about shifts it to the goalkeeper Kaminsky. He's been closed down by Koleosho. Works it to the left centre half to Joe Johnson. Lifts it up high towards Chong over his head and seen through to Dara O'Shea. For the Clarets, it's now with Trafford on the penalty spot. Forward to Cullen, then back into O'Shea in the 18-yard box. Plays it into a central area where it's Lyle Foster to control and play it to his left ear to Pires, who takes it beyond the halfway line on this near side. Into the midfield to Brownhill. It's now Cullen in the centre circle. Back into O'Shea. To the right to Connor Roberts, who had playoff heartbreak last season whilst on loan at Leeds, losing the final to Southampton. It's now back on the edge of the 18-yard box for Burnley with Trafford. Forward into the centre circle here with the number 47 of Wilson Odebe. Can play both wings and through the middle. The French attacking midfielder, who they brought in last season from Troyes for €11 million. Lyle Foster on halfway, bringing Mengi out of the Luton back three and playing it into Roberts, who then goes high and around the corner. It's a great ball for Vitinho, who's got plenty of space down the right-hand side, needs to find the right pass, plays it to Brownhill, who takes a touch and then's tackled by Baptiste in the area. It was a much-needed intervention there by Chandon Baptiste, who needs to try and get the ball forward for Luton. He overruns it, slides in, the studs are showing, and the free kick's given in Burnley's favour. Just slightly catching Lyle Foster. No card given by the referee. Just took too long to release it. Tried to go forward, then tried to go back. It just got himself in a bit of a pickle. Ball went loose and the studs were shown for a second. He was able just to get his foot down a little bit so it didn't look as bad. Definitely a free kick. I think a yellow card would have been a little bit harsh. So just a free kick for Burnley. Well won there by Lyle Foster. Got a couple of players stood over this here, Burnley. One of the main ones being Josh Brownhill, the captain. Also got the left-footed option of the left-back Pires, who's already got an assist tonight. The former Santos player. Fakes it, and it'll be Brownhill to swing the ball into the far post towards O'Shea. Adebayo wins the first header. Esteve wins the second. It's kept in by O'Shea, who was in an offside position on that byline. And it'll be a free kick for Luton Town in the 18-yard box. Just over 10 minutes of the first half to play. Burnley still lead. Pires with the assist. Ball through in behind for Brownhill, who took it really well in the 18-yard box. Slotting it into the bottom right corner, putting it through the legs of Kaminsky. And it was Burnley's first shot of the match, and it's the only one they've had since. But they do look tidy on the ball, it must be said, despite the lack of attempts on goal. And then Luton have been caught offside in the Burnley half. Of course, they've been caught offside in the Burnley half. Can't be caught offside in your own half. So it's Burnley possession. As for Luton, 6 games in pre-season, 2 wins. Their first win was against Stevenage in their first game, behind closed doors. And then they also beat Rook Liv 1-0. in a behind closed doors game in Slovenia. And then finished their pre-season with a 3-1 defeat here against Celta Vigo, the Spanish side. Just over 6,000 were in attendance for that game last week. As Luton have it again with their right centre-back Walters. Touch isn't great and Koleosho nicks it off him. In a great area as well, and Koleosho can't quite thread it through for Brownhill. Deflects off Baptiste. And in the final third on this near side, it is a Burnley throw in here with Pires. Just needs to be slightly quicker really there. Ruel Walters, the 19-year-old defender. First ever taste of senior football. Pires with the throw. Throwing it into the space, just backwards here to go to Koleosho. Burnley's number 30, Italian international, born in America, has a Nigerian father and an Italian-Canadian mother, so plenty of options for Luca Koleosho in terms of which country he wants to play for, and he's chosen Italy. Played for their under-21s in November of last year. As Burnley go over the top and in behind, it's a great run and it's a great find, and Burnley are in and they've doubled their lead. Wilson Odobert with the goal. 2 shots, 2 goals. It's as simple as that for Burnley. And a season where they're aiming for that title once again. He's getting off to the best start possible. And 2 very similar goals, both from different wings. The first was from the left-hand side. This goal's come from the right-hand side. And it's Wilson Odobert who's got the goal. Scored 3 times in the Premier League last season. He's opened his account in Burnley's opening game of the season. O'Shea played it to the right back Roberts, who just swung it into the space down that Burnley right channel. And he beat Joe Johnson to it. Heavy touch in the box, but not quite heavy enough to allow Kaminski to get that ball. And it gave him just enough time to get there ahead of the goalkeeper and slot it through his legs again. 2 nutmegs with the goals. Kaminski's got to try and keep them shut next time. But with both finishes, the most telling part was the composure. Same with Brownhill. He took a touch, calmly slotted away. Same with Odobert. Touch in front of him. Never looked panicked when having to take that shot on. Put it through the goalkeeper's legs. And 2 pretty simple goals for Burnley to score. And it means at Kenilworth Road in this first half that we're coming towards the end of, it's Luton 0, Burnley 2. Odobert with the goal. And both full-backs with assists for Burnley. Luton trying to half the deficit as quickly as possible as they build from the halfway line. It's Joe Johnson, the young left centre-back. Can't go forward. Has to go back into Mengi, then back once more to Kaminski, the goalkeeper. Long ball forward in towards Ogbene in the box. Can't quite control it. Ball will bounce out for a goal kick for Burnley. As they are beaten in their last 8 against Luton Town. It looks like they're going to make it 9. And you can just tell this younger, inexperienced Luton side are struggling. Especially with the spaces they're leaving at the back. They have got some experience defensively on the bench. They've got Amiri Bell, who's 30 years of age. He's looking for his 125th Luton appearance. They've also got Tom Holmes as well, who they brought in from Reading in January, but loaned him back for the rest of the season with Reading. He's on the bench as well, 24 years of age, played over 100 games in the Championship. So a lot of work for Luton to do if they want any points from this opening game of the season. It's a season with 46 matches, so it's only the beginning. It's not the be-all or end-all of the season, but you want to get off to a positive start. As we've got 5 minutes of the first half left. Morris shoved in the back by Lucas Pires, and that will be a free kick for Luton Town. As there are a couple of the injured Luton players, Jordan Clark and Marvellous Nakamba being 2 of them. They were very good central midfield options for Luton Town, who they're waiting to return from injury. Giving it away in the midfield, though. Cullen lifting it into the centre circle towards Koleosho. Can't quite win it ahead of Walters, who comes across and takes the ball off him. And plays it out to the right side here to Carlton Morris. Driving forward with the ball. He's got Ogbene to his right. Chops towards the left-hand side. Pulled down by Koleosho. And that'll be a free kick for Luton right on the edge of the box. On the right-hand side. The angle's not great, really, for a shot. It is quite far wide. But shot or across, it's a really good opportunity, and it's well won by Morris. Koleosho getting back to trying to help his team defensively, but he ended up giving away a free kick in the end. Morris just chopping nicely and then being dragged down by Koleosho. Referee was rather quick there to give the free kick. A goal before the break would be perfect for Luton Town if they are looking to mount a comeback in this game. It's a two-man Burnley wall, which kind of shows you how wide this free kick is in front of the 18-yard box. It'll be Doughty to take. And he'll shoot low, comes off that wall, goes across to the Luton left to Baptiste, who goes back to the edge of the, right in front of the centre circle, to Ogbene, back out wide to Doughty, then back to Ogbene on halfway. Bit of a waste there for Luton. Pretty poor delivery from Alfie Doughty. He's usually so much better than that with his set pieces. Doughty goes into the centre circle here with Ted and Mengi. Ball out to the left, over the top. Morris will chase it towards the corner flag. It's bounced off the turf and out for a goal kick for Burnley. You can see the idea there, trying to find Carlton Morris on the left wing, but like I said, the bounce really didn't help. A bit of a wet turf, so it's just bounced and gone behind. But a lot of thinking to do here for Rob Edwards, the 41-year-old manager, who won promotion from League Two, winning the title with Forest Green, which got him his move to Watford, where he lasted 11 games. That's James Trafford. Yellow card. Time wasting for Burnley's number one. 6'6" goalkeeper. He's an absolute, say unit. Unit means you're a bit bigger, but I mean, he's very, very tall. And he's going to kick this ball long into the Luton half. Foster can't win the header, but Cullen can. Straight to Vitinho, fortunately falls into his path off Doughty, and on the edge of the box, can he work a shot? Tries to get it onto his right foot, not allowed to, and Mengi can clear for Luton. It's a low ball forward, controlled by Morris, dispossessed though by Esteve, and it's now Perez with it, and then back to Esteve on halfway. Well won back there by Luton, almost an opportunity there for Vitinho. He didn't really fancy it on his left foot here as a ball forward by Trafford. Koleosho trying to get onto it, swept up away on the edge of the box by Mengi, who sends it down the Luton right. Tucked by Morris, the studs were showing. Caught Cullen. Is that a free kick or has it gone for a throw-in? I'm not too sure. Cullen stayed down. It wasn't a malicious challenge. It is a free kick. Ball was there to be won. It wasn't at a height that's necessarily high. To be fair, they both went up for it with their boot. It's just that Morris caught Cullen in the end. It's the referee just having a little word speaking to there to Carlton Morris. As it has been a frustrating first half for Luton. You know, 2-0 down after 2 Burnley shots. It's never easy to take. But that's football sometimes. You've got to be that clinical. They work it down the left there, Burnley. It's Brownhill, the goal scorer for the first. Back to the halfway line to Maxime Esteve. Forward by O'Shea to Foster. Lets Vitinho take over in a central area. Then out to the left there to Koleosho. He's got the overlap of Perez. Koleosho forward on his own. Goes to his right to Cullen. Swings it further wide out to the right here to Vitinho. To Odebeer, sorry. Cuts onto his left foot. Edge of the area is Cullen. To his left to Koleosho. Pulls. The pass is loose and poor. And Morris on the edge of the area can't work it away. No one's there to the left-hand side. And it's now with Foster lifting it in towards Koleosho, who didn't make the advanced run. Cleared away. 45th minute now at Kenilworth Road. It's Burnley 2 up. And there's 2 minutes of added on time. Indicated by the fourth official, Gavin Ward. Just seems that every time Burnley go forward, it looks like they can score. And that's the quality they have. They really do possess that quality in the Championship. It might not have been good enough for the Premier League, but it certainly is for the second tier. As Odegaard gets onto a Pires pass, tackled by Johnson, last touch off the Burnley man. And that's a well-won goal kick by the 18-year-old centre-half, the England under-18 international. They've played just 1 minute of the 2 added on. It's midway inside the Luton half in the central area with Baptiste into Morris on halfway. Turning away from Brownhill, going down over the challenger Brownhill. And nothing given by the referee, and Burnley try and get it forward, trying to get a third before the break. Koleosho touch goes in front of him. Walters tries to get across, and he does very well towards the corner flag. Just kicks out of play for a throw-in. Not taking any risks there. Ruel Walters came from Arsenal on a free, but before that was at Spurs' academy as well. Throw-in taken here to Foster. Back to Cullen, just less than 30 seconds of this first half. And it's Burnley in control of the ball in their own half with Dara O'Shea. Cullen trying to go around the corner. It deflects off Baptiste, and it's a throw-in on halfway here for Burnley, which Vitinho looks to take. But I think he will take it in the end. He'll throw it back to Dara O'Shea. As we're counting down the seconds of this first half, where the referee Matthew Donoghue will blow for that half time, and it's Luton 0, Burnley 2. And for Burnley, it's been a case of precision and real quality up front. They've had 2 shots and they've scored 2 goals. The first one came from captain Josh Brownhill, a ball down the left-hand side by Lucas Pires, their new left-back signing, and the same old Brownhill scoring the same old goals in the Championship. He's a real threat from the midfield, and he's shown it again tonight. He put Burnley 1-0 up here at Kenilworth Road, and it was towards the end of the first half where they scored their second with Wilson Odegaard. Instead of the left-hand side, they pretty much scored the same goal but down the right-hand side. Put into the space by Connor Roberts, a heavy touch into the box for Odegaard, gave him the chance to shoot. He put it through the legs of the goalkeeper, Thomas Kaminski, into the back of the net, doubling Burnley's lead. And despite Luton having slightly more of the ball and a couple more attempts, it's been Burnley who have looked really dangerous when they've had the ball. They've looked really dangerous when they've had their shots, because both they've had. They've scored, and at half-time here at Kenilworth Road, it is currently Luton 0. Burnley 2. Brilliant start for Scott Parker. And Burnley, after the departure of Vincent Kompany in the relegation from the Premier League, they want to try and win another Championship League title if they can. It'd be their 5th second-tier title. Of course, they won their last one in 2023, also won one in 2016, and then before that it was 1973 and 1898. So they have won plenty of league titles at this level, and they'll want to do it again under Scott Parker to try and get themselves back into the Premier League. But whilst it's half-time, I'm going to go for a quick break. Make sure you're back in 15 minutes for the second half, as currently at half-time at Kenilworth Road, it is Luton Town 0, Burnley 2. Hello, we are back for the second half between Luton Town and Burnley. Burnley currently 2-0 up due to first half goals from Josh Brownhill, the captain, and Wilson Odebert, the French under-23s international. And that's his ninth goal in club football. Only 19 years of age, Wilson Odebert. So part of that quite young stem of Burnley players up front. You've got Lyle Foster, the South African, who's 23. Luca Koleosho, who's 19, turns 20 next month. Wilson Odebert, who's only 19 as well. Vitinho, 25. So a lot of youth in this team for Burnley, but also a lot of experience with Josh Brownhill, Josh Cullen, as well with Connor Roberts at right back. Be interested to see if Luton make any changes. They have got a couple of players they could bring on that can make a difference going forward. They've got Corley Woodrow, then number 10, who scored once in the Premier League last season, away late at Crystal Palace under Oliver Glasner. So that was quite a good point, actually, for Luton Town. They've also got Andros Townsend, who's played Burnley 19 times in his career. That's the most he's ever played any team. He scored 3 times against them, last in 2021. They've also got Peli Ruddock and Panzu, who's been at the club now since November 2013 on a loan. That became permanent in the January of 2014. It's both sets of players are back out, and we're going to see if Luton Town will make a change or if they will stick to what they've got out there at the moment. Didn't really cause too many problems, Luton Town, for James Trafford in the Burnley goal. So that's certainly something they'll have to do in the second half, get some shots away, really test the goalkeeper. But it looks like there's going to be no changes for either side. It's going to be Luton's kick-off, kicking right to left, Burnley left to right towards their away supporters. As Kaminski sends it long up towards the edge of the box, where Morris flicks on for Adebayo, who controls it. He's been sent away from goal here by Dara O'Shea. Lays it off to the right wing-back of Ogbene, into Nelson, who gets away from one player and then shoots with his left foot, blocked, and it comes out to Baptiste. It's a positive start from Luton, but still no attempt on goal in terms of challenging the goalkeeper Trafford. It's now on the halfway line with Mengi. Now Johnson, the young left centre-back, turning away from Odebert and playing it into the channel for Chong, who is onside. He just needs to keep this in. He's got the pace to keep it in. Crosses to the far post over Adebayo, controlled by Ogbene. Koleosho gets back, sends him away from goal. He plays out to the right to Walters, who crosses in. It's a floating ball. It's flapped at by Trafford. It comes off the crossbar and then caught by the Burnley number 1. Just less than a minute into this second half, and Luton almost half the deficit. No foul for me. Adebayo certainly doesn't shove the goalkeeper, just completely misses the catch, and it comes off the crossbar. Rather fortunate that for Burnley, as it's a quick start for Luton at Kenilworth Road. They need an early goal if they want to try and turn this one around. As Ruel Walters has it for Luton in their own half here. It's Ogbene to bring it forward. The last time Ogbene was in the Championship, it was with Rotherham, his previous club, where he scored 8 goals in the Championship. He got 3 in his first 4. So he is well accustomed to this division in terms of performing at the highest level and scoring goals. It's Carlton Morris right next to the corner flag on the near side. Can he work a crossing? He'll go backwards instead to Joe Johnson. Tries the 1-2 with Baptiste and it comes off. Johnson plays it through for Morris in the box. The angle's tight. Can he pull it back? Chops onto his right foot. The angle's better for the shot, which has been blocked by O'Shea. It's a brilliant diving block. It's Luton, though, who were fast out of the traps in this second half. Doughty gives it away. Odebert tackled, though, by Chong. Doughty's touch isn't great, but it bounces off Odebert into Doughty's path. And Luton Town have it again in the centre circle with Baptiste moving away from Brownhill. Walters having to go back into the 18-yard box here to Kaminski. Forward to Baptiste, just behind Walters, but it can be kept for Luton Town, as all 4 of Luton's home draws last season in the league were 1-1. So that would have to be a change tonight, as they're 2 goals down at the moment. Long ball forward, controlled by Adebayo, and he brings Ogbene to play at the right wing back. It's now Carlton Morris, midway side the Burnley half, wanting to shift it forward, but goes back into the centre circle to Zach Nelson, 19-year-old midfielder who signed a new contract in January of this year. It's now Chong on the edge of the area, on the left-hand side, into the box, can't get away from Roberts, who goes forward to Lyle Foster, back into Cullen, lifts it forward towards the run here, Koleosho, who will put Walters under pressure here. Walters been forced to go back to Kaminsky. Koleosho still chasing. Mengi has it now out to the left of Walters. Touch goes in front of Foster. Walters still has it, shielding the ball well. And just keeping the ball for Luton Town with Mengi on the edge of the 18-yard box. It's to the far side here to Ogbene, being closed down by Pires. Finds Baptiste, the central midfielder. Born in Reading, came through their academy before moving on for Brentford, where he played 78 times for Brentford. Baptiste, 2 goals for them in his time there. Scored 1 last season against Luton. Shandon Baptiste in a 3-1 home win in early December. Joe Johnson goes inside here to Baptiste in the centre circle. Everyone behind the ball for Burnley, as they do have something to protect it. Just over 4 minutes into the second half, it's still 2-0 to the away side. It's with Walters. Rule Walters bringing it forward. Koleosho just coming across to close down the pass forward. It's now Baptiste in the more central area. Finding Chong, touches loose, picked up there. And played into Cullen, whose ball forward comes off Baptiste, deflects out to the Burnley left, controlled by Koleosho. Through the legs of Nelson, and he bursts away. And he's been pulled back, but somehow Koleosho is still going. What a run this is. He slips it through for Adebayo on his right foot, shooting, and it's blocked brilliantly by Johnson. Attack still alive for Burnley. Vitinho putting it right across the 6-yard box, but no one had made a run. And out for a goal kick. But that is an almighty run by Luca Koleosho. Zach Nelson has been booked by the referee. He played the advantage. I mean, Zach Nelson wasn't just pulling his shirt, but was just yanking him back by the hips. He was just trying to stop Koleosho from advancing, but just somehow he shrugged him off. A brilliant run and a really good pass as well. Adebayo did everything right as well. Touch out of his feet and got the shot away, but Johnson did well to slide across for Luton and block the shot. But they're giving it away on the near side here. Luton with Doughty in their own half, and he's been turned by Vitinho. Can he cross it? Chops back, pulled back. Free kick given for Burnley. Just seems like for the away side, every time they go forward, it just looks really dangerous, which is a worry for Luton Town, because if they concede a third, you probably think that's game over. You know, at 2-0, you've still got slight hope you can get one back and then maybe get some momentum and get an equaliser. So there's a right-footed option of Brownhill, which would be an outswinger, and then an in-swinging option of Lucas Pires, their new Brazilian left-back from Santos. Spent last season on loan in Spain with Cadiz, who Burnley did face in a pre-season friendly. As it'll be Pires to put it into the near post, and it's had to be volleyed away at the near post by Ogbene. Could have possibly caught out Kaminsky. Ogbene certainly wasn't taking the risk, just sticking out his left boot to stop it. So it's going to be a left-footed ball in again from Pires, who's already got 1 assist tonight for the first goal with Brownhill. Pires delivers to the far post, punched into the air by Kaminsky. Adebayo with a volley, which isn't hit sweetly. Bounces around, then a shot from O'Shea. That's a great save from Kaminsky. To his right, had to react, didn't have a lot of time to react. O'Shea nearly scoring a rare goal. Burnley still trying to go forward. Brownhill, cut out by Morris. Won back though by Foster, who's brought to the ground by Baptiste, and that's a free kick for Burnley. About 25 yards out in a little bit of a central area, maybe just to the left. But Kaminsky punched the original corner, volleyed by Adebayo, blocked by Morris, dropped to O'Shea about 12 yards out, left-footed. hit it with pace, and with his right hand he was able to make a really strong save there, Kaminski. A little bit more in the corner, possibly it goes in, but still from close range he's done well to just palm that away, the Belgian goalkeeper. So again, Pires over it is the left-footed option, but the right-footed option this time is Connor Roberts, who has scored 6 times in his career for Burnley. Had scored against Luton previously in his last season he spent with Swansea before making the move to Burnley. It's going to be the right foot of Roberts who clips it to the far post. Headed across by O'Shea. Headed forward by Foster. Volley towards goal and saved by Kaminski on Vitinho when the ball eventually rolls out for a goal kick. Another vital save by Kaminski. Put in by Roberts. O'Shea possibly offside, but the flag didn't go up. Headed it across to Foster, who headed it towards that, by Odebert, who headed it towards that left-hand side of the goal. It was met by Vitinho, who was stretching and got a left-footed shot towards it. He's actually hit the post. So close for Vitinho, the Brazilian. I thought Kaminski had saved again, but it's actually hit the woodwork as Morris sends it over the top down the right-hand side for Ogbene. Again, lack of options around him, but he can turn away from Pires. Running 1-on-1 now at the Brazilian. Plays it to the left to Baptiste. Crosses deep. Doughty heads it across for Chong. And that's a goal back for Luton. It's been a hectic game. First half and second half. Despite being behind for the majority of the game, Luton have carried on trying to get their first goal of the campaign. And they've got it through Tai Chong. It was well held up by Ogbene, who had Pires trying to win it back. He just played it to his left to Baptiste. Deep ball to the far post. Doughty staying away from Vitinho. And the ball went right across the 6-yard box. No one for Burnley able to clear it. And Chong was pretty much able to put it into an open goal. Trafford tried to get across to save it, but from a couple of yards out, Chong simply could not miss. And that is Chong's first ever goal against Burnley in his 5th game against tonight's opposition. And it's Luton 1, Burnley 2. 10 minutes into the second half. It's a really high quality game, this. 2 of the relegated sides from the Premier League wanting to get off to a winning start in the Championship. It's almost an equaliser for Luton, as I almost said. But no, it's just one back. They've halved the deficits. They've gone in behind here for Doughty in the box. Trafford's there to get it into his 2 hands. Trafford has it in the 6-yard area, being closed down by Morris. Goes long. It's a bit of a sliced ball as he slipped, and Johnson heads it forward for Luton. Always finds Cullen. Plays it forward to the halfway line towards Lyle Foster, who's battling with Mengi, and he loses out. It's now with Nelson in the middle of the park for Luton. Finding Mengi again. Turning away from Foster, and Koleosho needs to release it. Mengi very calm, and he finds Nelson in midfield. Keeps it away from Vitinho. It's now on this near side with Doughty, who's picked up his first assist of the season. Collected 8 in the Premier League. Usually gets assists from crossing with his feet, but that time it was with a header across goal. As Kaminski goes long up towards Adebayo in the area. Can't quite bring it down. He will chase it, Adebayo. Roberts slides in and kicks it out for a throw-in right next to the corner flag for Luton. And he'll leave it for it to be taken by Doughty. Doughty just taking his time here with this throw-in. Doughty throws into the area. Morris back to goal. Laying it off here for Zach Nelson. Puts it towards goal. It took a slight deflection. Still a comfortable save in the end for James Trafford. As Luton have been in this game for the entirety. Even when they were 1-0 down, they looked like they were trying to get back in the game. Even when they went 2-0 down, that didn't deter them. Didn't drop their confidence. It just gave them more drive to try and get another goal, to try and get their first goal, to get back in this game. And they've eventually got it through Chong. And they'll be looking for more. It's Baptiste, high ball out to the right side towards Ogbene. Chests it for Morris. Can't shield it away from Brownhill. Now Koleosho on halfway. Taken off him by Baptiste. It's now with Carlton Morris, who just slows the play down. Going back to the Luton back three here with Walters. It's now Ted and Mengi. 33 starts last season for Luton's number 15. Struggled with injury the season before in his last campaign with Manchester United's youth team. As Walters shoved to the ground by Koleosho, nothing given by the referee. Burnley now have it in the midway side of their own half with Cullen. Out to the left to Brownhill. Forward to the left back Pires. He'll bring it forward beyond the halfway line. Down the line here for Koleosho. Back through for Pires, who makes a run forward. Can't get around Walters, who will shield it for a goal kick. Brilliant work there by Rule Walters, the 19-year-old. It's a goal kick for Luton Town. Just over half an hour to play here at Kenilworth Road. Luton 1, Burnley 2. It's been a brilliant game so far. This is the scoreline it was between these two teams last season at this stadium. Burnley were 1-0 up before half-time with Foster. Then an 84th minute equaliser from Adebayo was cancelled out as Brune Larsen for Burnley won it in the 85th minute. As in the Luton half, it's been given away. It's now with Lyle Foster, keeps it away from Mengi. Goes back into the back line for Burnley with Roberts. Into the midfield now with Cullen. Roberts in the right back area, trying to find Vitinho. Works it to the Brazilian, facing his own goal. Goes back to Dar O'Shea, whose clearance curls, and it stays in towards Roberts, who's adventured into the Luton half. Can play it inside to his left here to Odobert, who gets in front of Chong, kicked by Chong. And that'll be a booking. And for Taif Chong, he's now faced Burnley 5 times, and he's been booked in 4 of those 5 games. He loves a booking, Taif Chong, against Burnley. Never beaten them as well in his career. It's the first time he scored against them. Rightly given free kick, and it probably is a yellow card as well. So it's going to be a delivery in here that Burnley can take. And it's Brownhill, it's deep, and it's caught by Kaminski on the edge of the 6-yard box. That's given away by Ogbene, trying to link up with Morris, but it can't be kept in there by Pires. And Luton have it again in the defensive third. Into the box it goes through Walters to Kaminski. 4th season in the Championship for Kaminski. Spent 3 seasons previously at Blackburn in this division before his £2.5 million move to Luton. Was involved in the Euros. Didn't get any minutes on the pitch, but was a part of the Belgium squad. Mengi on halfway, being forced to go back, and he's frustrated. A lack of options to hit for Ted and Mengi. As Kaminski will go long himself this time, down the Luton right. Controlled and brought down beautifully by Ogbene, and then Morris brought down on the edge of the box by Cullen. And that'll be a free kick, and Josh Cullen can't quite believe it, and he's going to go in the referee's book as well. Cullen is literally on his knees, begging the referee that he's got that one wrong. Of course, it's not going to reverse the referee's decision. And they can argue as much as they want, but he's not going to reverse it. Matthew Donoghue. It was a good touch by Ogbene to find Morris, and then Cullen's claiming he got the ball. I'd have to see that again. I didn't quite see. Let's have a look. I think he did get a slight nick to the ball first, and then took out the player. But the referee has given a foul. Josh Cullen in the book, making his 90th appearance in this division tonight. Josh Cullen. Alfie Doughty stood over it here. It's on the Luton right-hand side, and Doughty's left-footed. It's going to be a direct delivery, and it's a great cross, and it's been put away by Burnley to the edge of the area where Chong takes over. Down the Luton right, try to turn away from Koleosho. And he can work across Chong. Volleyed away though in the end by Brownhill. And it's a throw in the final third for Luton as the fans are up for this one now. They see a path for a point in this game. Mengi in front of the centre circle. Curling out to the right. It's a great ball. Well weighted as well. Here's Walters running at Pires. Takes him on. Crosses low. Dealt with by Cullen. Cleared by Koleosho. And again then by Odabert. But only as far as Ogbene, who could recycle it in the box if possible. Goes back out to Walters, who can put another cross in himself. It's a low one off the head of Pires. And another throw-in for Luton. And they are certainly the team on top now as they chase down this point. Possibly making it 3 if they can bag an equaliser. As the throwing goes to Morris. Last touch off the captain. And out for a Burnley goal kick. 64 minutes played here at Kenilworth Road. It is Luton Town 1, Burnley 2. James Trafford needs to be careful in terms of time wasting because he has already been booked by the referee, as it is actually Luca Koleosho who's down here for Burnley, the young 19-year-old winger. Didn't feature for Burnley last season after December. Picked up a knee injury in December and didn't return back. So he's a very welcomed return for Burnley, but due to the lack of game time he's had this calendar year, it just might be his race run and he might have to just be replaced as he works up his match fitness. So it looks like there is going to be a change here for Burnley. Looks like it's going to be Anas Zaroury. 10 minutes into the second half, we got the Luton equaliser. Chong from a couple of yards out, assisted by the head of Alfie Doughty. Good finish there by Taif Chong, beating Trafford to it. To the delight of Rob Edwards. And if Luton can somehow win tonight and turn it around, that would be Rob Edwards' 20th win as a Championship manager. So we're going to get the change here for Burnley. It is going to be a Luca Koleosho. Hopefully it's nothing serious, just a lack of match fitness. And he'll be replaced by Anas Zaroury, the Moroccan international born in Belgium. His last appearance for Morocco was in June of last year, making his 49th Burnley appearance. So we're back underway here, quarter of the game to play. Scott Parker passing the ball to Connor Roberts to take the throw-in into the Burnley half, and they throw it into the final third here, looking for Lyle Foster, trying to battle with Johnson, and he gets there, and the last touch comes off the Luton defender. And that is a corner kick. That's really well won by Lyle Foster, who's not had a lot of success tonight in terms of getting shots off. I don't think he's had one tonight. His job has mainly been trying to occupy and annoy that Luton back three. And he's done a good job of that so far. Lyle Foster scored against Luton last season here in their win. Played in plenty of countries. Lyle Foster played in South Africa, France, Belgium, Portugal and England. It's going to be an in-swinger from Pires to the near post. Volleyed away by Doughty, all as far as Brownhill, who works it back to Pires. He's going to run at Doughty onto his left foot. Better delivery, but it's a header won by Mengi. In the area still for Burnley. Esteve goes for it. Pires brings it down and shoots right-footed. And Kaminsky gets down low well to his right to stop it. Nearly a third for Burnley, looking for a goal. On his competitive debut, Lucas Pires, after an assist in the first half. He was allowed to bring it down there. Joe Johnson not getting tight enough. they've given it away. Zach Nelson this time. Brownhill through for Audebert on the angle. Tried to chop inside. It's been taken off him by Doughty. It's now Zach Nelson, the academy graduate, who's been brought to the ground. Free kick for Luton, which Doughty wants to take quickly with a long punted ball forward. But Adebayo goes down over the challenge of O'Shea. But the referee wants the free kick retaken, I think, because the ball was still moving as Doughty played it long. So taking again, it's now Kaminski on the edge of the 18-yard box with his left foot, playing it down the Luton left, deep in the Burnley half. It'll be given chase to by Chong as it's been put into space. It'll be dealt with by Trafford, clearing it forward for Burnley. Volleyed forward by Johnson, straight out of play for a Burnley throw-in just inside their own half on this near side. Thrown into the middle of the park here to Audebert. Touch in front of him, keeps him away from Morris. And firing it to the left here to Zarori. Once the 1-2 of Audebert was pushed to the ground though off the ball. And the referee's given a free kick. Ogbane not happy. But the referee's given the decision. Zarori. Yeah, just shoved to the ground there by Ogbene. As he tried that 1-2 with Audebert. Perez over it again, but this time Zarori's involved in the conversation. About 25 yards out towards the left-hand side, so again, angle's not great for a shot, but certainly they could give it a go. It's going to be delivered in right-footed to the far post towards O'Shea. Loses the first header to Morris, and I think there's an offside flag up on the Irishman, so it's a free kick for Luton. Less than 20 to go over the 90. And it's still Luton 1, Burnley 2 here to finish this opening weekend of EFL action to start the new season. Kaminski, ball out to the Luton right, controlled by Morris. Plays it to Baptiste. Midway inside the Luton half, it's with Nelson. Comes to this near side to Johnson. High ball, that's a wicked ball, and that's a really poor one. Straight into the Burnley 18-yard box. With James Trafford. As we're still waiting for the first Luton change of the game. 71 minutes in, no changes from the home side, and just the one for Burnley. As they work it to Brownhill in a left wing position. Can he find himself away from Baptiste? No, he can't. Baptiste gets in front of him, but then Brownhill wins it back using his strength. In the final third, Brownhill goes back here to Zarori. Step over and a left-footed cross which deflects out for a Burnley corner on that far side. A third for Burnley would probably settle the match, and it would probably take the sting out of the Luton Town atmosphere, because they really do believe they can get something from this with the game at 2-1. It's going to be a left-footed outswinger to the near post. O'Shea with the header! And that's the third goal. Set pieces for Burnley have been a constant threat tonight, and one has ended up in a goal. And Dara O'Shea has it. He is a threat when going forward. Even at centre-back, he scored 4 times for Burnley in his first season for the club. And at the near post, he was able to flick the header to the far corner, beating Kaminski. Just talking about how a third might kill the game. And Burnley have got that third right in front of the 6-yard box. O'Shea rising high enough, beating Walters and Adebayo to the header. Headed into the ground by Burnley's number 2, who has been linked to have a move away, but for now he's staying. And he's scoring goals for Burnley. It's Luton 1, Burnley 3. And with just 17 minutes to go, that could be 3 points wrapped up for the away side. First ever goal he scored against Luton Town. Dar O'Shea in the 6th game he's playing against them. But for Rob Edwards, he'll be very frustrated that they've conceded from a set piece, especially with the game hanging in the balance like it was at 2-1. And Burnley won a 4th goal. Lyle Foster on the left wing, playing it into a more central area to Cullen. He's now on the halfway line with Brownhill, sending it to the right here to Connor Roberts. It's now Brownhill again in the centre circle. Goes to his left to Pires. Going into the midfield to Brownhill. Plenty of time on the ball for the captain. It's now to the right back, Roberts. Vitinho driving inside from the right wing. It's now Lyle Foster coming into the midfield just to get a few touches of the ball. Like I say, not had a lot of it, Lyle Foster. It's with the substitute Zarori. Keeping it away from Ogbene. It's now Cullen. Halfway line now with Dar O'Shea, the scorer of the 3rd. It's now Vitinho, nutmeg Doughty as he cuts inside on the edge of the box, left-footed. He fancies a shot towards goal, and it's just wide of the far post. About a yard away there by Vitinho, who didn't score last season for Burnley. Got 3 in the last time they were in the Championship. His last goal for the club was in February 2023. Almost scoring again there, the number 22, on his weaker left foot. Not far away at all as there's 15 to play here at Kenilworth Road. But plenty of goals on this channel to start the new season. We had 4 at Hillsborough yesterday. 4 again here as Baptiste just about moves it away from Foster. Now high ball out to the right to Ogbene. Heads it into the air, controlled by Morris. Brought down from behind by Brownhill. Throw in, I think, given though. Brownhill got a touch of the ball, I think. Or was it a free kick? I'm not quite sure. And it will be a free kick. Again, Brownhill disagrees with the referee. It's going to be Doughty to deliver. And they've got to get this right. If they want anything from this game, they need to score sooner rather than later. Because still when Burnley go forward themselves, it looks like they can score. Doughty delivers in, deflects off O'Shea to Chong on the right side of the box. Forced away from goal there by Zarori. It's now Doughty to deliver it back in. Punch from Trafford. Baptiste will head it forward, but only as far as Foster, who volleys away. And straight through to Kaminski, who's midway inside his own half. The Luton goalkeeper. So Benny on halfway on that far side, finding Walters. Johnson on the near side, being forced to go back by Odeber. Mengi over the top, down the right hand side to Doughty, who heads it forward. Flag stays down for now. Doughty trying to get away from Pires if possible. Crosses it off Pires and then bounces back off Doughty. And that'll be a goal kick for Burnley. They've defended really well so far here. There's Doughty. Just off the pitch, it looks like he may have just ran into a box off the pitch. He seems a little bit shaken up here, Alfie Doughty. And the referee has stopped play for now. He's off the pitch, but Doughty's definitely shaken up. Just as he was trying to cross the ball there, he was running out of room and he's ran off the pitch. And it looks like he may have just landed himself on maybe one of the boxes that holds the TV equipment. You know, those boxes are quite tough. You know, they're not soft boxes. You know, they're not your cardboard boxes, that's for sure. So as Doughty gets treatment off the pitch, we will continue here, Burnley, from the goal kick. So Luton down to 10 for the moment. Cullen Sends a high ball towards Vitinho. Tries to get inside of Chong. But Chong defends him well, covering for Doughty. And Chong is then tripped from behind on the edge of the box. Free kick for Luton. Doughty just making sure he's okay to continue here by the medical staff. And still Luton haven't made a change, so it wouldn't be the worst idea to maybe bring some of these players off. As they are currently losing and they're probably starting to tire. You know, we are only at the start of the new season. Walters volleys forward for Luton. Darroche with all the time in the world just to shield it to his goalkeeper, James Trafford, who will eventually pick it up. And Doughty is back on the pitch now for Luton. As Trafford rolls it to the left centre-back here of Maxime Esteve. Just made under 60 appearances in League 1. So even at the age of 22, he has played at the highest level in Europe in terms of the French league. It's given away, poor ball by O'Shea. Johnson, though, can't keep it for Luton. Won back by Odebeer. It's now Roberts to Odebeer. Tackle by Doughty, who slides in. Throw in midway inside their own half here for Burnley. As with 11 minutes left of this game. Luton are eventually going to make some changes here. On his league debut, in terms of a league start, his first ever league start, Joe Johnson comes off here for Andros Townsend. So an attacking change. Andros Townsend playing Burnley for the 20th time in his career. Signed a 2.5-year deal with Luton in January of this year, as Walters is got the ball taken off him there by Lyle Foster, who'll bring it forward from the edge of the area. Foster into the Luton half. Foster still running, playing it to his right to Vitinho. Plenty of time in the box to shoot across goal and off the woodwork and in. And Burnley are flying again in the Championship. They walked the league last time out, reaching over 100 points. And you would not be surprised with the quality of squad they've got if they try and aim for that triple point mark again. Every time they go forward, Burnley simply look like they are going to score. The goals are also being spread out as well. The forwards are scoring, the midfielders, and so are the defenders. And Vitinho this time is the one to score. Mentioned it before, this is his first goal he scored since February of 2023. He's had to wait a while, but that's really well worked. Lyle Foster, the striker, winning it on the edge of his box and then marauding forward with it right to the edge of the Luton box. And he played it to his right to Vitinho, who around 8 yards out on the angle on that right-hand side, had his shot across goal. Did Kaminski get a touch? He did. He got a right boot to it. But his right boot only sent it onto the post and then into the back of the net. Off the post, even off the underside of the crossbar and in. And right in front of those travelling Burnley supporters. The fans and the players go wild. And they are tearing Luton apart. Again, the problem for Luton, they are not strong enough defensively. Leaking too many goals. You can't do that in the Premier League and you can't do that in the Championship. They've got to sort themselves out defensively. They have got injury issues, but nevertheless, conceding 4 at home in the Championship is never good enough. And that's how many they've conceded tonight. It's Luton 1, Burnley 4, 8 minutes of the 90 to play. We're going to get some Burnley changes, and what a sight we're seeing here. Lyle Foster, who just assisted the 4th goal, worked his socks off tonight. He'll be replaced by number 29, Wout Weghorst. Spent time on loan at Manchester United. Spent last season on loan at Hoffenheim in the Bundesliga, scoring 7 goals. He's not found himself a summer move after scoring in the Euros for the Netherlands. And he replaces Lyle Foster. And the second change, we'll see Wilson Odebeer, who scored the 2nd goal for Burnley. He'll be replaced by Han Noah Masengo, the French central midfielder who's formerly of Bristol. That's where he joined from on a free last season. Didn't play many times, Masengo, last season due to an ankle injury. Made a couple of appearances in the league off the bench in January and February, But overall, it was a rather frustrating campaign for the number 42. But he's going to come on here for the last 8 minutes of this game at Kenilworth Road. Andros Townsend surges forward, plays it to the right to Ogbene, final third, clips across into the gloves and into the hands of James Trafford, who will not waste time getting this ball forward. Throws out to the Burnley right-hand side. It's Rory into Masengo. Can't quite beat Nelson to the ball, and Nelson has to just toe-peck the ball into the Burnley crowd for a corner for the away side. As it looks like Connor Roberts might have a problem with his left knee here. Gets back to his feet. What a start for Scott Parker. He is a proven manager at this level. 2 seasons in the Championship, 2 promotions. It's there on paper. Over the age of 43 as well. It's going to be a right-footed outswinger here from Zarori. Referee just having a few words with some of the players in the box, which includes Wouter Weghorst and Shandon Baptiste. Of course, he's an absolute pole in that box. Wouter Weghorst at 6'6". Only scored twice in the Premier League, and they were both for Burnley when he first joined the club. As the ball goes into the 6-yard box, headed away by Morris, only as far as Masengo on the edge of the area. Plays it to Cullen, returns it to Masengo. Onto his right foot. Playing the ball backwards here, midway inside the Luton half. Plenty of time on the ball for Vitinho, who gets the ball back from Cullen. It's now back to Trafford, who's in the Burnley half. 5 minutes to go here at 4-1 Burnley. Trafford goes long, nowhere near anyone in a Burnley shirt. And it will be Kaminski to start again for Luton, throwing it out to the left-hand side here to Baptiste. It's now with Rule Walters, the right centre-half. Ogbene from right wing-back. Can't quite get beyond Vitinho. Throwing for Luton, thrown back to the halfway line here to Walters. Baptiste in the centre circle, being closed down by Weghorst. Works a 5-yard pass to his right here to Nelson. Townsend running forward, trying to take on Vitinho, and he does do so, keeping his feet well and crossing it in off the head of Masengo. Only as far as Baptiste, who volleys towards goal. It deflects, and that will be a Luton Town corner. Not quite there for Baptiste. As Luton will make another change here late on in the game. It is going to be Pelly Ruddock and Panzu. I think the substitute will be made after this corner. 4 minutes left of the 90. Doughty swings it in, header away. Back towards Doughty, the taker, who will let the ball roll for a throw-in. Luton take their time with this throw-in. And they're actually going to make the change now. Shandon Baptiste on his debut for Luton. He was Luton's first summer signing, and he'll be coming off here for Pelly Ruddock Mpanzu. The Dominican Republic of Congo international, played 3 times for that country, the last in September of 2023. Not scored in this division since April 2023. Made 11 starts in the Premier League last season in Mpanzu. None of them in the last 7 games, wasn't really used at the back end of the season. Switch out to the right. A beautiful ball to Townsend on the right wing. 1-on-1 with Vitinho. Can he get some space for a cross on his right foot? He can do just that and cross it in. And it's flicked away off the head of Masengo for Burnley. Can Doughty get away from Zarori? No, he can't. Zarori driving inside, playing it into Cullen. It's now Weghorst, who holds it up well. Plays it to his left to Masengo, then forward, just away from Brownhill in the centre circle. One back by Ogbene. And it's now Mengi in Luton are back on the ball as they try and search for a possible consolation goal. Doughty Kicks it off the back leg of Zaroury, and it goes through for Thomas Kaminski, who does have one appearance for Belgium, and it was against Ireland as a late sub in March of this year. At the age of 31 now, Thomas Kaminski, the former Anderlecht goalkeeper. Luton trying to play the ball forward, and Esteve from behind just bringing down Adebayo, who's been quite quiet up front really for Luton Town tonight. Elijah Adebayo came through at Fulham's academy. He's got over 40 goals now for Luton since joining from Walsall back in January 2021. 90 seconds of the 90 to play, and it does look like Burnley will start the season with a win, and a fantastic win, scoring goals, defending pretty well. That's a free kick just in front of the halfway line for Luton, conceded by Josh Cullen, who's just got a bit of cramp here, the Irish central midfielder, who spent some time with company at Anderlecht. That's where he was brought in from at the start of the season where they won the championship in 2022-2023. Doughty launches it forward just into the Burnley 18-yard box, headed into the air by Brownhill, headed out to the right by Nelson, helped on by Walters, brought down by Ogbene, keeps it away from Odobert. Ogbene into the space for Townsend, he's overhit it. Townsend applauds the idea, but the execution was not right. And with 30 seconds of the 90 to play, it's Luton 1, Burnley 4, and some of the Luton supporters are now starting to make their way towards the exits, as Wilson Odobert, who scored the second Burnley goal, will be replaced here for Luke McNally, the Burnley centre-back, so just shoring it up in defence, making sure they don't concede any more goals here. Spent last season on loan at Stoke, Luke McNally, brought in for £2 million 2 seasons ago. I think he's going to find game time hard to come by if Burnley can keep the likes of Dara O'Shea at the club. 6 minutes added on here by the fourth official. As Vitinho, who scored the fourth goal for Burnley, looks like he's filling in at left back for the end of this game. Townsend lifting it forward for Morris. His chested touch is heavy, and Misengo can bring it away for Burnley in the centre circle, drifting out to the left-hand side, trying to find a pass, and he will find a pass to Zaroury, who just relaxes on the ball. It's now Cullen on halfway. To Vitinho, back to Cullen. And through for Misengo, plenty of space down the left-hand side. They're cutting through Luton Town again. He crosses in, it gets away from Weghorst and Zaroury, then back to Misengo, who shoots. Blocked by Mengi. It just all seems a bit dysfunctional at the back for Luton. I know they've got centre-backs out injured at the moment, but they've got to bring in some reinforcements just to see through this early stage of the season. Because I know Burnley are probably the toughest team they'll face this season in terms of attacking quality, but I think a lot of teams will fancy themselves against this Luton Town 3 at the back. As in Panzu, in the box on the left-hand side. Plays it through for Chong, but he can't find him. Just slightly overhit. And that'll be a goal kick for Burnley, as it looks like they're going to continue their unbeaten run against Luton. 9 unbeaten, 5 wins and 4 draws. Luton haven't beat Burnley since March 2000. That's over 24 years ago now. And still they have to wait. Burnley, in fact, won the first ever meeting between these two back in 1897, which was 126 years ago. That's how far back the history of this fixture goes. It's with Kaminski for Luton. Forward to the edge of the area where Zach Nelson can turn. And he plays it forward to Chong. Back to Nelson. Whistle blown. McNally just fouling Chong from behind. Ball forward towards Adebayo. Headed away by Esteve. It's now Zaroury. Roberts back to Zaroury, who's now on the right wing for Burnley. They are still trying to score more goals. Zaroury. He's waited for support to arrive in the box and he tries to slip it through for Roberts. It's not far away. Almost perfect. It's now Ogbene. 3 minutes of the 6 added on has been played. And it's Burnley who lead by 3 goals. Nelson in the centre circle. First ever start for the club tonight. For Zach Nelson, the 19-year-old, who Rob Edwards described as a real talent. As Townsend crosses off the heel of O'Shea, still alive in the box for Townsend to control it. Tackled by Esteve and just thumped by O'Shea. Throwing on the far side for Luton Town. Two minutes to play. And the 8-hour round trip for Burnley seems worth it. It's a season where they'll be expecting to win the majority of their games, which is a change from last season, where they lost the majority, only won 5 of the 38 games they played last season in the Premier League. 7 altogether, if you include wins in the League Cup and in the FA Cup. Another throw-in for Luton in the final third. On the far side, 90 seconds to go. Throw-in will be taken by Townsend, throwing it back here to Ogbene. Could Luton get maybe one more, just to maybe help the goal difference slightly early on. Don't want to be on -3 straight away. Townsend to Chong, flicks it through towards Mpanzu, doesn't quite reach him. Cleared by Cullen, almost worked for Burnley. As the throw-in goes back to the halfway line here to Walters. Less than a minute now to play. Mengi, loose ball, can't find Mpanzu. It's now in the Burnley back line with O'Shea. Right back Roberts has it. Goes back to McNally. High ball lifted down the right channel for Burnley towards Weghorst. Volleyed though by Doughty. Can't be kept in by Cullen. Does drop through though for McNally, who's been taken on there by Adebayo. But a good strong challenge from McNally stops Adebayo in his tracks. And it does look like Burnley are going to see this 3-goal lead through to the end. Ten seconds to go. Luton have it on halfway. Into the box it goes towards Morris. Nods it down for Townsend on the edge of the area on that right-hand side. Plays it behind Nelson. Picked up by Mpanzu. Back through for Townsend again. We've played the 6 added on. Townsend lifts it towards Adebayo over his head and beyond Roberts and Doughty. And it will be a corner. Took a slight nick off the Welsh right back. So it's going to be a set piece for Luton. As this will be the last action of the game. It's going to be taken by Doughty. Delivered into the far post. It's a header forward towards goal. Straight down the throat of Trafford. A foul was given off the ball anyway, but the referee will blow for full time as Scott Parker shakes hands with Rob Edward. It's a perfect start for Scott Parker at his new team as he's looking for a 3rd promotion out of this division. Both of these two sides were relegated last season. Both teams will want to be promoted. But Burnley have definitely set out their stall for another record-breaking championship campaign. They finished on 101 points last time. They'll be looking for something similar and another promotion. They were absolutely ruthless tonight in the attack, and they have come away with a very deserved 3 points. The goal scoring started in the 6th minute with Josh Brownhill and a debut assist for their new left-back of Lucas Pires. A second goal was scored right before the break. Wilson Odebert, the 19-year-old, scored after a ball into the space for him by Connor Roberts. Luton did half the deficit to 2-1. Taif Chong, 10 minutes into the second half, but 2 goals later on into the half, killed any Luton chance of gaining a point. Dar Roche from a corner, heading into the bottom right corner from the near post, and Vitinho with 10 left also made it 4. 4 different scorers, 3 points, and it's a game where other teams will look at Burnley, and if they weren't already scared with what they saw on paper in terms of the Burnley squad, they'll be certainly scared now. Very effective going forward, defensively pretty solid, and Burnley I think are going to be very hard to stop this season. Thanks to everyone who did watch. If you did enjoy, make sure you do like and subscribe. Next commentary is on Wednesday as Real Madrid take on Atalanta in the UEFA Super Cup. But here at Kenilworth Road tonight, Luton back in the Championship and are still conceding goals. Burnley looking to win another Championship title to get themselves promoted. They've scored 4, not quite top of the table. They are second after 1 game, just behind Sheffield Wednesday, but it's a brilliant start. And Burnley are bouncing back in the Championship up towards the top end of the table as it finishes here at Kenilworth Road. It's Luton Town 1, Burnley 4.